What's up, everybody? Long time no see. It's Eat a Profit here to do another video. And this video is going to be called These Idiotic UFC Announcers Need to Stop Using Wrestling Catchphrases During the UFC Broadcast. Now, I'm also going to talk about Khamzat Chimaev and Nate Diaz at the end of the video as well and give my thoughts on those two fighters. But the first thing I have to address is these numbskulls at the UFC broadcast table, and I'm not talking about Joe Rogan, I'm talking about everybody else, using wrestling, especially John Anik, he's the worst, using wrestling catchphrases. Oh, and the people after the do like the interviews after the UFC events, like the lady, I don't even know their names, but man, all of these people have been using wrestling catchphrases for like the last, I want to say maybe 6 months. And now I got to say something, but I can't take this shit no more. It's to the point where I have to cut the sound down when I watch a UFC show because the people are so unintelligent and sound so stupid. Understand that we MMA fans are not pro wrestling fans by any means. I used to be a wrestling fan until I saw UFC 1, and then that fake phony shit went out the window for me. I was hooked on UFC. I never ever went back to wrestling. I never wanted to see it again. So to hear these UFC announcers using phrases like pops and heels and baby faces, these are all wrestling catchphrase, all things they use in wrestling, professional wrestling, is wrestling terminology. These fucking idiots are using professional wrestling catchphrases during a UFC broadcast. And they probably think they cool. They have no idea what kind of dorks they sound like. Okay, there is no fucking way that they should be using wrestling catchphrases in the UFC. The UFC is real. It's a professional sport comprised of professional athletes. The WWE is not a professional sport. It's entertainment. It's scripted. It's not real. Now, no disrespect, because those guys are tough. Those WWE wrestlers could probably whip the asses of some of the UFC fighters in a real fight. Not an MMA competition, a real fight. Fighting is different. And those guys are tough. And so it's no disrespect to them, but they're not engaged in actual athleticism in terms of a sport, or organized sport, a regulated sport. They are entertainment, like watching a movie, a soap opera. That's what it is. So for the UFC announcers like John Anik, Daniel Cormier, like I said, it's not Joe Rogan so much. And some of the others, Megan, whoever her name is, she does it a lot. She's also one of the absolute worst. You know what I'm saying? They're using, okay, let me tie this shit into Khamzat Chimaev. Since they really lost their fucking minds right before the UFC 279. And I hate to say this, because I have always loved and respected Dana White, but I think he was part of this. I really do. Okay, let's talk about Khamzat and being a heel. This motherfucker's not no heel. He's an unprofessional athlete. That's what he is. To come in at 8 pounds overweight is as unprofessional as it gets. It's just that plain, that simple. That's why people was booing his ass. And then, actually, before that even happened, he got into a fight with Kevin Holland, which apparently he started. Because I really don't think Kevin Holland is that stupid to do something like that. He starts a fight, gets the press conference, Dana White cancels it. So the people that went to see that, spent their hard-earned money to travel to go up in smoke because of Khamzat Chimaev. So he starts a fight, which the Nevada State Athletic Commission is supposed to be investigating. Hopefully they burn their asses up for that stupid shit. They're professional athletes. Have some goddamn discipline. Anyway, he does that, start all that. Then the very next day, he's 8 pounds overweight on the scale. So to me, Khamzat Chimaev is the most unprofessional piece of shit on a UFC roster. That's why they was booing his fucking ass. Not because he's a heel or a babyface, because he's unprofessional. And he fucked over a lot of UFC fans. The match had to get changed, everything. Everything went up in smoke because of that dude. And I hope they suspend his ass for a year for real. That's what I hope. And I don't care how great of a fighter he is. What he did was totally unbelievable, uncalled for, and there is no place for Khamzat Chimaev's behavior in UFC or MMA, period. There is no place for it. If he wants to behave like that, he needs to go to WWE where he can be a heel or a baby face. You know what I'm saying? There's no place for that in the UFC. And I will never ever chill support that dude until I see better things from him, like consistently. Yeah, I'm smoking today. So, you know, these sorry ass, stupid ass fucking announcers need to stop using the wrestling catchphrases and start using some MMA phrases, come up with their own, you know, good God. I can't even believe I got this, make a video about this. And also, Khamzat Chimaev is an unprofessional piece of shit. Now, let's go on to Nate Diaz, who I have a tremendous amount of respect for. I remember Nate Diaz back, I can't remember which Ultimate Fighter it was. It was one of the earliest ones. He was on the Ultimate Fighter. He ended up fighting Manny Gambarian in the tough finals. He did lose. And to be honest, Nate Diaz's career has been pretty up and down. His win-loss is like half it. It's like a little over 500, I think. He has lost a lot of fights. So to act like he's some kind of world beater, I just can't do. Now, I have a tremendous amount of respect for Nate Diaz. And Nate Diaz always brings it. He always comes to fight every time. And he's dangerous for 3 or 5 rounds. Always, as Leon Edwards found out in their fight. You know what I'm saying? So it's nothing against him. But to act like he's some kind of world beater when he's lost to like every significant welterweight and lightweight in the UFC, you know what I'm saying? To say this is Nate Diaz's house when he beat Tony Ferguson, you know, who's not even a welterweight. Who did he beat before Tony Ferguson? Can anybody remember? You know, let's put Nate Diaz's record up there and take a look. Like I said, I'm not doing this to disparage Nate because I have a tremendous amount of respect for Nate and I love to watch him fight. But it's hard for me to act like it's Nate's house when there's fighters like Israel Adesanya and Francis Ngannou and Cameron Usman and Leon Edwards and Charles Oliveira and Dustin Poirier. You know, there's a lot of other very, very successful fighters. Alexander Volkanovski. You know, and I can go Aljamain Sterling, Peter Young. There's a ton of fighters who are better than Nate Diaz. I just got to call it how it is. Who are much more successful than Nate Diaz. So for him to say that he's the most successful fighter, I'm like, and for people to agree with it, and then once again, dumbass John Anik, you know, talking about the reason he was so successful is because of his buy rates. No, inside talk. Fucking inside talk. We fans don't want to hear that shit. We want to hear about what he did in the ring. And I guess you ain't have nothing to talk about. So you talked about his buy rates and how he performs in terms of numbers. Nothing about, you know, who his one-loss record. Anyway, man, I'm just so tired of these announcers. I don't know what to do. And I just had to speak on Khamzat and Nate. Like I said, I love Nate, but he's no world beater by any stretch. You know, the fight against Jorge Masvidal showed that, and he did get beat by Leon Edwards for 4.5 rounds. So, you know, anytime he's had to fight a real contender, it didn't work out well for Nate. Let's call a spade a spade. And there are a lot of other successful fighters who deserve those accolades. Speaking of Johnny Walker, first round submission, UFC 279. You know, nobody not even talking about that, but he should have got a lot of props for that. Anyway, y'all, I'm gonna go ahead and stop it. You know, I done bitched and complained enough. And please like the video. Please share the video. Please leave your thoughts and comments. Am I crazy or am I the only one hearing this? These announcers. Anyway, I love y'all. Thank you for watching the video. Everybody stay safe, stay strong, stay healthy. Peace.